right, good morning, everyone. My name is Nick Hunter. I'm the mayor of Lake Charles, and we are absolutely honored to have a great turnout this morning. First, I want to introduce the individuals joining me up here at the head table. Denise Nerell with United Way, Pastor Sam Tolbert with Greater St. Mary Baptist Church, Brian Abshire with Parish Police Jury, he's the president, Brian Beam, administrator of the police jury, Sarah Judson with the Community Foundation, and Matt Young with the City of Lake Charles. I've got to give a shout out to a few individuals. It's very typical and customary for a politician to have someone else come up with a good idea and then they just take credit for it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take credit for this entire event, but then I'm also in the same breath going to honor a few people who really made this thing happen. Specifically with the Occupational Parish Police Jury. I want to thank Tarek Polite and Nicole Miller. They have been absolutely pivotal with this. Yeah, go ahead. They deserve it. The city has had no better partner than the CVB in multiple initiatives, the Convention Visitors Bureau. Specifically for this event, I want to thank Taylor Stanley and Catherine Duncan. Thank you, ladies. Y'all been wonderful. With the Community Foundation, Sarah Judson has been a great advocate for this area. And Sarah, thank you for your leadership. We have so many city employees that are working outside today, really making us look very well organized and made me very proud when I walked up. But specifically, I want to thank Kimberly Delafosse. Where is Kimberly? And again, I'm going to pull the curtain back. You know, it's very typical that a politician would take credit when one of their team members comes up with something. But I remember a couple months ago, Kimberly and I sitting down having a conversation about what other communities had done in the aftermath of disasters similar to what we have been through. And we looked at a model from Puerto Rico and some things that Puerto Rico was doing that were very innovative. And so I'm going to give Kimberly a lot of credit for today. I think she deserves another round of applause. Kimberly. And finally, this absolutely would not be possible without Golden Nugget as a sponsor. Golden Nugget provided all of this space out of the goodness of their heart, because I do believe that we have some great corporate partners here in Lake Charles who want to see this area recover just as badly as we do. Thank you to Golden Nugget. We appreciate y'all. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you, for those of you who are not from here, to one of the best communities in the world. And I really mean that. I think that we have one of the finest communities in the world that was before COVID, before Hurricane Laura, and it exists today as one of the finest communities in the world. And it's because of the people here. It's because of the caliber and the character of the people of Southwest Louisiana. There may be some others who are not joining us in person today, might be viewing on Facebook, or those at a later date who might be viewing on YouTube. We thank you for your interest and your thoughts about Southwest Louisiana. We are in the thick of recovery right now, but local leadership is not just maneuvering and dealing with the punches that are being thrown at us on a daily basis. We are thinking long term. We are thinking about the long-term recovery of this community, and that focuses absolutely on housing, but it also focuses on quality of life. It focuses on economic diversity. Those conversations are very prevalent in our minds. Today should be a day for locals to find out information about Southwest Louisiana. It should also be a day for people outside of the area to find out information about who we are and certain opportunities that exist in the aftermath of what we have been through. The final chapter of recovery for Southwest Louisiana is being written right now. It's not finished. I want everyone to understand that, and citizens out there to understand that. We're in the middle of a very interesting and peculiar and bizarre chapter in our history. But I believe we have the ability to finish that chapter and look back on it 20 years from now and realize that we took a terrible situation and we seized upon it and we made ourselves more resilient and we made this community better. And that has been my goal every day every hour in the aftermath of COVID and Hurricane Laura was to wake up and get this community ready not only for today and tomorrow, but 20 years from now. I got into public life before I had kids, and now I have a couple kids, and so for me, it's different. It's different today than it was 10 years ago because I'm not only trying to leave this place better for me, I'm trying to leave it better for my kids. And I believe a lot of us share in that message and in that hope. So ladies and gentlemen, again, I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Samuel Tolbert with Greater St. Mary Missionary Baptist Church. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I've been asked to bring words of welcome to those of you who are here this morning, both those who are from Lake Charles and those who are not from Lake Charles. Lake Charles has a rich history. We were started about 6 miles east of downtown in a community that's now called the Blue Settlement. And those people were really excited about this new settlement that they developed. Later, people like Captain Daniel Goss and Mr. Jacob Ryan started the lumber industry in our area. As a matter of fact, I grew up in Gosport, where one of those lumber mills was located that Mr. Goss organized. Lake Charles has gone through tough times before. We suffered a great fire that destroyed much of our downtown area in the early 1900s, but we came back. And we want to say to those who are from Lake Charles, those who are thinking about coming to Lake Charles and investing, that you will be in a community that is resilient. And we welcome you to that kind of community. Our community has housed at least 2 Air Force bases that have been here. They're gone. And it would look like we were going backwards. But then the petrochemical industry came in, and Lake Charles started popping again. And I want you to know that you're being welcomed to a city, again, that knows how to come back. And we've come back over and over again. And Mayor, I want to say we're going to come back again.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
We're in the midst of this recovery now, but Lake Charles is a city that I'm proud of, and I'm proud to be able to welcome you to our city and to this event today when we are putting Lake Charles on display. Lake Charles, Louisiana is a place where we have a strong school system with high quality education, the Calcasieu Parish School Board. We have a community college, Sewella Community College, that is training our workforce for the jobs that we have in this area and in this region today. And also, there's a great university here. And I think there are some people here who can say, "Go Cowboys" today. McNeese State University, that is training world-class leaders to go out into our communities, not only here in Southwest Louisiana, but around the world and be world-class citizens. Lake Charles is growing with the aerospace industry. We have the entertainment industry here in our area, and we have small businesses that are the backbone of our economic development here in our community. And we would like to invite others to come and do the same thing. And so we welcome you here this morning to a great city. I hope you're excited to be here. This city is a great place to raise your children and to develop your families. We have great synagogues and mosques and churches. And as a pastor, certainly I had to bring that up. And so we want to welcome you not only to be here today, but to come back if you're not from Lake Charles. And we also want to invite you to consider relocating. And the only place to relocate is the best location in the nation, Lake Charles, Louisiana, where we have just re-elected a mayor with 74% of the vote, showing stability in our city. So again, welcome and God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor. I wish some of those lumber mills were still around here in Lake Charles. I think we could use those right now. It would be a very profitable trade, I think. And now I will introduce the president of the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury, Mr. Brian Abshire. Brian, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for your continued interest in this most important topic of housing development for our cities, parish, and this region. Like other parts of the state and the nation overall, the demand for housing, especially more affordable housing, is not only an issue for our area, but many others around the country. The challenge became more acute here in Calcasieu Parish, however, during the long economic boom period we experienced between 2013 and 2019. Although many new single-family homes and rental properties were added during this period, the supply of affordable housing and properties remained a problem. This, of course, was exacerbated with the back-to-back hurricanes hitting our area last summer and fall. I speak of these challenges because, one, they are real, and two, they represent a great opportunity for investment strategies that are innovative and diverse. It will take many approaches to achieve success in meeting the demand, and that is why workshops like the one today are so important. We appreciate your attendance today. We invite you to be an active participant in our recovery, which is well underway. So thank you for coming. We hope you get something really useful out of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The local governmental structure of Calcasieu Parish is such that we have a police jury for those outside of Louisiana County Commission. We like to do things different in Louisiana. We have parishes instead of counties. I remember one time I had someone call me, and I quickly realized it was a scam because they were telling me I owed the sheriff of Calcasieu County $100, and that if I didn't pay up, I was going to get thrown in jail. And I realized Calcasieu County didn't sound quite right. So at this time, I'm honored to call up Brian Beam, the administrator of Calcasieu Parish Police Jury. Brian, thank you for joining us today.
It's great to be here, Mayor Hunter, and thank you for having us. And it's a great crowd today. This is a very good turnout. That shows there's a lot of interest in this area, especially in the area of housing. Quick story on the police jury. A lot of you, maybe most of you, are from Louisiana, so that name may not sound that funny, but it does to anybody else. And when, sometimes we speak to groups of 8th graders in civics or social studies, and they say, what is a police jury? I said, well, it's got nothing to do with police or juries, but that's what we're called. As so many other things in this state, it goes back to the early years. But we were at a conference one time, and I think it was in New Orleans, and we're in an elevator, and I happened to have one of our, parish shirts on with the emblem and all. There was a couple of folks kind of acting up in the elevator, I guess I'd say. It was kind of late at night. And we walked in, and they saw my shirt, and all of a sudden they got real quiet. And they said, well, you're the police, aren't you? No, I'm a local government guy. So it's good and bad, but nonetheless, the parish and city and nonprofits, I can't think of a better example. When you hear it all the time, you solve big issues with public-private partnerships and nonprofits. And sometimes that just is a feel-good, but it is so true. Everything you will hear today in this first section, it's mainly the broad overview of our area to give you a sense of what we are here, and then get into the specifics of housing. But everything we've been dealing with in this recovery, hurricane recovery, COVID, there is a theme through all of it, and it's housing. It affects every other area that you might not even think: culture, tourism, health. So it means a lot you're here and you're interested. I'm just going to have a few slides. I'm the first guy with a few slides. It's not many, and we've got some other good speakers. Most of what I'll show you today, it's very quick overview. Most of the slides are provided by Dr. Dan Groft. He is with he's director of the H.C. Drew Center for Economic Analysis at McNeese. He does a great job. There we go. Okay. So most of these, sorry it's so blue. Things change when you swap computers. Quick overview of the population. I'm going to hit a few economic slides, but Dr. Groff put most of this information together. I summarized it. There will be one slide in here for Lauren Scott, from Lauren Scott & Associates. You all know who he is, and it shows you a little bit about what our makeup is and then where are we headed here in southwest Louisiana. Okay, so this is a simple breakdown of slides. You can see we're about 60% white and 26% black in the parish. That counts Lake Charles and all of Calcasieu Parish. We have about 204,000. Of course, the census, we're all waiting on that. I suspect it's going to hover around that. We've had a lot of growth in the past decade, but this is a pretty consistent breakdown for many years. So I don't know that the percentages are going to change much, but our population has definitely grown since the last census. I want to look at the economic makeup of the area. So this slide is for jobs by industry sector. In the industry, this is all in the, codes through Department of Commerce and so forth. I'll let you look through all that. I'm not going to cover each one. I want to point out, though, and Reverend Tolbert, by the way, I didn't realize he gave half my talk. That background he's given, it was excellent because in a very quick period, it shows our history. But today, we are a good mix of a lot of things. We are still strong in the petrochemical industry. And if you look at manufacturing on this slide at the bottom and construction, those two are like the two sides of the same coin. For much of the construction in this area deals in the manufacturing sector, which for us is petrochemical. And that includes not only oil refining, it includes petrochemical plants, and now we are, if not the center for LNG development, we're certainly near the top, certainly in this country. That's because of Calcasieu Parish and Cameron Parish, who's represented here today. More good news coming on that. I want to get a little more specific, though. This is something Dr. Groff put together. It's called gross regional product. So you looked at the previous slide real quick. You look at the jobs and go, well, it's kind of evened out. You got a lot of grouping up there in the top three. When you get down to what this area produces and you go, okay, where's the money spent, if you will? It's clear that if the pie, if you will, represents the whole gross regional product. But look, half of it is manufacturing and construction. That tells you right there how big it is. And those are good paying jobs. They are good diverse jobs. And although the energy sector is changing, it is still the main core sector of the economy. Gaming and entertainment and accommodation are big now. The aircraft refurbishment industry is big. Petrochemical, though, is still the main driver. This is the slide from Lauren Scott I want to show, and this is in his report. He does this for all the metro areas around the state every fall. This was done after Hurricane Laura. This is very important. And I can show you, I'm not good at the mouse inside the, let's not show it, never mind. I'm better with it, I'm old-fashioned, I use the old mouse. Just follow with me if you would. Along the bottom horizontal axis is the year, okay? This is the graph he shows. This is the jobs forecast for the next 2 years, and he did this last fall, so it's for this year and next. Our MSA is all of Calcasieu and all of Cameron, which makes sense. It doesn't include the other parishes for some reason. But if you look around 2012, and look how much we grew during then in 2018. That was the economic boom, largely through both LNG, the Sasol project, many of you familiar with, Lotte Chemical. I want to shout out, Jim Rock is in the audience. Jim he was in the petrochemical industry many years. Did it go away on me? Oh, you got the buffer thing if I don't move it. So good. While I'm talking about Jim, he was with PPG at the time and Axial, and then Lotte, the Korean company, major international company. Their chemical division built a $3 billion project here, came well ahead on budget and time, and he was over that. It was a great project. It is a big driver, and Jim led that whole thing. And he's very active. He continues to be active as director of Lake Area Industry Alliance. He's on the Community Foundation with Sarah and others, and we're just glad you're here today. So you're a big part of it. But if you look at that boom, if you will, that's a large part of why we had it. And then you see it starting to go down. When you build a whole lot of big new stuff in the billions and tens of billions of dollars, it's inevitable it's going to come down a bit, but that means you are then kicking into the more important, frankly, permanent job base. And so we added a lot of those. COVID hits, hurricane hits, you see it go down, but take a look, and this is one of my last slides. Here's the good news, guys. After COVID, after hurricanes, after flood, after winter storm, we're not going anywhere. We are strong, and this is not us. This is Lauren Scott saying he predicts the fastest percentage growth rate in the state in this MSA knowing we got hit by a hurricane. So there's a lot of confidence that we're not going anywhere. Now, he did say that depends on some key things, mainly some LNG projects that are in the hopper where the economy across the world wasn't quite ready, where things have changed just since his report. So what we're seeing, Tellurian is a company based out of Houston. They have what's called the Driftwood LNG project. We are very optimistic. Maybe by the end of the summer, they will announce what they call final investment decision. That is a $15 billion project in Calcasieu that would start. Venture Global is in Cameron Parish. It's being done. They're going to add another one. So the future is bright, and I know the tourism sector is starting to come back. I can assure you we're seeing the right trends already in the first half of 2021 that we think will make this forecast true. 2022, I think, will be bigger. So as you look at our area, and I know it's called Investors Day, and I know I got to click this more often. Nicole, I'm sorry. What did she click, Nick, last time?
I wasn't looking.
I thought I was pretty good at this.
You are.
In a break,
it's
you might
my
want to get
computer.
rid of that.
Yes, it's going to sleep.
It's the worst thing. So, and they asked me how the presentation went. Nicole's going to say, well, it kept going to sleep.
Yeah, it's all Nicole's
Not
fault.
the people. All right, that's the last joke I'm going to make, Nick. Okay, I got two more slides, and you want to hear from these fine people. So, the largest projected occupational gaps, this is looking, I think, from 2021, 2025. Again, Dr. Dan Groft, great job on this. He's got a lot more detail. These are categories, guys, in the formal code. So you look at education and training and library, that's probably mainly teachers, not just teachers, but that's a big deal. We've got a severe labor shortage in many areas here right now. Business and financial operations, I think y'all can kind of figure that out. That's a need. Community and social service, much more demand there. That whole recovery effort, not just infrastructure, that side of things, I know there's a lot of interest today in this group because a lot of what you're here for focuses on that. Healthcare support, no surprise there. And then the last one, transportation and material moving. So that's kind of the economic nuts and bolts of it. Last slide. Where do we need to be recovering long term? I would ask every one of you, if you're interested in this area, and you are because you're here, I believe later today you're going to hear more from one of my staff, Alberto Galan, on the long-term hurricane recovery plan. Many people in this room were active in it. It's almost done. He will show you the highlights of what we are saying we need to do, not just tomorrow, but looking ahead years. Look at the first one, housing development and housing diversity. I don't need to go on that. That is the thing now, and it will be in the future. Social and economic diversity. We have a really good economic diversity makeup here, but it frankly needs to get better. We're very good at the bigger industries. We need to do better. You see entrepreneurship and quality of life. We need a lot more homegrown businesses, and we cannot look away from things that we call quality of life. You got to attract people more than just having good roads and bridges. You need a lot more of that. And then technological adoption, y'all may have seen, it's been in the news around the state where the governor now has a director of broadband. That's a big deal. We learned after the hurricanes, and if you don't know it already in your area, man, you don't realize how much you need broadband. It crippled us. Schools, businesses, government, individuals, hospitals. And you got to go to the one provider. You better hope they're good. Ours wasn't. I hope they're not here today, but if they are.
That's why the computer keeps going up.
Yeah, see? We don't have fiber to thank you, Nick. That's perfect. I didn't expect to say it. I guess it's been brewing, but it's looking better, and so there's a lot of positives. But that's my last slide. It's more overview and where we're headed, but we have a lot of faith in our area. But we know also you got to have help, and Nick and Brian and others have been champions to get what as good American communities all deserve after disaster, some relief. And we're getting some, but we need more. And we're very self-reliant here, but sometimes to a fault. We're proud people, but we need help. We need people to show, look, I believe in your area, I want to invest in your area, and it's a good investment. And we're here to help however we can, and I appreciate the time with you this morning. I think I've eaten too much of my colleagues, but that's all I have. Thank you, Nick, for having me
Thank you,
today.
Brian. Appreciate you. Thank you, Brian. And I will now call on Matt Young, Director of Cultural Affairs for the City of Lake Charles. Matt? Every now and then, you might just want to touch that.
All right, thank you. Good morning, my name is Matt Young. As the Mayor said, I'm Director of Cultural Affairs for the City of Lake Charles. I'm really pleased to be with you this morning just to talk about the city that I love most in the world, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Also thankful for Brian setting me up talking about quality of life issues, because that's purely what I want to talk to you about today, our culture, our community, our education systems here in Calcasieu Parish. I was raised Southern Baptist, so I assure you that I will be brief in my comments because my parents entrusted me with each of the Beatitudes. The one that I remember most, blessed are the short-winded, for they will be invited back to speak. And I will honor that commitment to you today. Up first, I want to talk about Historic City Hall and Central School. These are two cultural institutions in Lake Charles managed by the city with partnerships with the Arts and Humanities Council. On your left, you'll see Historic City Hall. This is our public exhibition space. This is our galleries that host numerous world-class nationally traveling exhibitions. Since it opened in 2004, it's been home to 175 exhibitions that are completely free and open to the public. Just one of the things that we can offer here to our community and to our visitors. Some of the exhibitions that have been in the halls of this grand center are Titanic, which featured remnants brought up from the ocean floor after the Titanic sunk. More recently, we brought in exhibitions on World War II in partnership with the World War II Museum in New Orleans. We've also recently reopened last Saturday, I'm very happy to say, with two exhibitions. One, intimate portraits of former President Obama, and two, it's a Smithsonian exhibit put together by the National Air and Space Museum. And it features 100 photos of the moon that were captured by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter that's currently still traveling in space. So just since we've reopened last week, we've already had more than 1,000 visitors come through our halls, and so we're very excited about that. On the right, I'll call your attention to Central School, which was originally built as an elementary school in our Garden District. In the late 90s, several city leaders at the time had the foresight to pass a quarter-cent sales tax that completely saved and remodeled this building and made it into an arts incubator. So we're expecting construction to wrap up on this. Of course, it was damaged by Laura, but construction to wrap up the first part of the year. This is home to numerous artists on the third floor and arts incubators, arts organizations on the first and second floors. And what I'll tell you is really cool about this is a lot of synergy happens here. So it is creating jobs, it is creating economic development. Our theater groups work in conjunction with the visual artists to paint backdrops, and so it employs artists in our community. The symphony, the Bulber Youth Orchestra, and the Lake Charles Community Band share resources. They share musical instruments and sheet music, and so it's one of those situations where the whole is truly greater than the sum of the parts. And one institution that I'm very, very proud of our community for sponsoring. I'm going to talk today about a few opportunities that are presented to us by Hurricane Laura, because certainly the double effect of Laura and Delta delivered a devastating blow to our community, but what I'm very proud of is that our group is using it as an opportunity to build back better, not to just repair or replace what was damaged, but to give long-term insight, vision, and strategy to what we want this community to look like 20 years from now. And sorry, Nicole. I'm not moving my mouse enough, or maybe I'm talking too slowly. A central performing arts venue is one thing that we want to really put together. So Lake Charles Little Theater, Axe Theater, Itinerant Theater, several in our community that lost their home are using this opportunity to fund resources, pool insurance money, FEMA money that they're going to get back to build this grand performing arts venue right in the heart of the town in the Nellie Letcher Cultural District or in downtown. And I'm very proud to say that what this is also going to accomplish is going to help our partners in tourism, because they'll be able to promote, sorry, Nicole, an annual calendar that hosts all of our productions. We won't be planning these productions on the same weeks, and I think it's going to be an unrivaled venue, unknown of anywhere in the South. They're using the Crowley Opera House as a model for aesthetics. And so what that's going to do is give us one venue that we can promote really in the heart of downtown. Also, our live music events and festivals are coming back. Our partners in tourism like to say that we're the festival capital of the state, hosting more than 75 annual outdoor events that are, many of them, free to the public and open to the public. 2 of these kicked off, and of course we were like shut down for a little while, and it's not in the heart of Southwest Louisiana residents to miss out on their live music, their food, their local cuisine, and sometimes a beverage here or there. Downtown at Sundown, Live at the Lakefront both came back in full force, and our security partners tell us that each event kicked off May 28th. It'll wrap up this Friday, so if you're still in town, we'd love to invite you to come back this Friday at the amphitheater and join us. But each event attended by more than 3,000 people, so that's a strong showing of the resilience of this community and the desire to get back to business or partying. Spring Clean LC I'll mention, not because it's an incredible staple or part of our community, but just because it shows the heart and the commitment and the volunteerism in this area. There's a lot of pride for Lake Charles, if you haven't noticed already this morning. And shortly after the storms, the city initiated a volunteer-led cleanup because we wanted, folks kept calling us and saying, how can I help? I'm not going to sit around and wait for government to clean out my catch basins, and I'm not going to wait for them to pick up the trash along the railroad tracks and in the right-of-ways. And so we initiated this month-long cleanup, 4 Saturdays really. We were hoping for 20 to 25 organizations to sign up. Within a week, we had 152 organizations representing almost 3,000 people that came out and helped pick up trash on their day off just because they love Lake Charles and they wanted it to look a little bit cleaner. Also very happy that our partners at the police jury initiated a similar program in May, and they also had similar success with it. So we know that there is pride in our community from its residents, and they want to participate as well. I mentioned it earlier, but one of the things that we are continuing to look at, and we don't even need slides for this if you're tired of coming back and forth, Nicole. So building back better, a reimagined parks system. As I said, there's no reason for us just to replace what was there before, and so I'm very happy to say that our partners at Ward 3 Recreation, the police jury, and all of the parks properties that they manage, as well as the City of Lake Charles parks properties, are really taking inventory of what we have now and what we want it to look like. So there's no reason to, repair parks that are highly expensive to maintain or located in flood zones or not used. Let's put the money that we catch from those parks back into the top 90%, and let's have some parks that we're really proud of, so that when folks come in from out of town, visitors here, we can take them to an area and enjoy the day with the family that everyone is proud of. I'm not going to mention too much about this because there's another person at this table who deserves credit for spearheading it, but Port Wonder, the Children's Museum and Nature Center, is truly a game changer. Our lakefront has been relatively the same for the last 15 years, and this project that they are breaking ground on later in the year is going to be a game changer for us. It really gives people a reason to get off the interstate, check out what is in Lake Charles, and it's going to be a brilliant new home for the Children's Museum that gives us attractions that we can promote. And we'll bring in school kids from Lafayette and from Beaumont and from Houston and Baton Rouge to enjoy a day in Lake Charles. Bayou Greenbelt is in its infancy stage, but I mention it just because I'm personally so dang excited about this project. It's received considerable support and interest from the National Park Service, also being spearheaded by the Community Foundation, and is in our recommendations for disaster recovery funding. This is a 23.1 mile loop that stretches around the city. It connects many of our waterways like the Cauchy River, Contraband Bayou, and Cayuchi Coulee. And it essentially is a canal, a small canal that runs around the city, helps us also move water from areas where it's overloaded to areas where there's not so overloaded. It serves as a retention pond, so it has some drainage mitigation effects. But more importantly, and more excitingly, it's a recreation opportunity that we don't have. And so if you're an avid canoeer or kayaker, you can use this canal to get around. Also, excitingly, we're going to use the right-of-ways that are ascertained on each side to create running and walking strips on one side and cycling opportunities on the other. So right now, why that's exciting is there aren't too many out-of-traffic recreation opportunities here. This is a 23.1 mile project that really gives us something to do and bring our families on. And lastly, I've been tasked with giving just a little bit of an update on education, which is not my forte, but I did get some great updates from the Cauchy Parish School Board Public Information Officer, and so I want to share those with you today because they're also very uplifting. So we're taking a quantum leap in education right now because after Laura, of the 76 public schools that are in the parish, 74 were damaged. Only 2 not touched by Hurricane Laura. Even more interesting is that 15 of them had extensive damage, meaning they lost more than 60% of the roof. I am happy to say that within only 4 months, mid-December of 2020, all of those properties were reopened to the school children, which is really, really impressive on the school board's part, especially considering that many in the community said that there wasn't even an opportunity to reopen these schools in that academic year. But after the pandemic, it was very important to our superintendent, to our school board members, that they reopen those schools. In fact, many of the schools opened 24 days after the hurricane, and if you think about it, we really didn't have electricity for going on 3 weeks, which I'm not beating up on Suddenlink. That's very impressive on Energy's part. Very impressive considering that it took out our entire infrastructure. But the school, several of them were open within 24 days. Beginning next school year, the district will also be a one-to-one district, which means that every school student in the parish will have some type of technological device that they can take home. Whether that be an iPad or a computer, they're going to be able to work from home. And the virtual learning options that they created in the midst of the pandemic, connected classrooms, will also resume for families that qualify. So even if you're reconstructing your home still and displaced, you can still be a part of this parish school system. They've also instituted several robust summer learning sessions happening now. It's both an enhanced traditional summer school program for students, but also new course credit for high school students and exploration camps. Right now, as we speak, Calcasieu Parish School Board is leading several summer programs that are teaching students unique skills like, and get this, craft barbecue, because Southwest Louisiana, right? Sewing and computer coding. So that's something to brag on them for. And then finally, I'll close with this. The school system recently received a grant to house a regional STEM center right here at Lake Charles Boston Academy, expanding their STEM center programs, as well as they've added a district-level performing arts consultant. And one of the things that they anticipate doing with that is opening a performing arts center in downtown Lake Charles. And so with that, I'm going to close, and I'll be available after to moderate this session if anyone has questions. But thank you for giving me this opportunity, really, to talk about the city that I love most.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. And now we're going to move in to hear from some of our nonprofit partners. It's very expected that local government work together, and we do work together very well here in Southwest Louisiana. However, I am equally as proud of government's ability to work with nonprofits. I speak with Sarah Judson and Denise Nerell almost as much as I speak with employees of the city of Lake Charles. I almost consider them members of my own team in a way. And we accomplish so much more by working together, and I am very honored to have them with us today. So right now I'm going to call upon Denise Nerell, President and CEO of United Way of Southwest Louisiana. Denise, thank you for being here. Good morning.
And the best news is I don't have a PowerPoint. How about that? We're just going to wing it. That's okay. Good. So Nicole can sit back and relax for a second. Thank you guys so very much for allowing me to be a part of this. And if you are new to Lake Charles or our region, or you haven't been here ever or within the last year, you may have noticed the wide array that now, as you look out at our skyline with blue tarps. And depending on what report you read would determine how many homes have been declared as either completely destroyed or majorly destroyed, how many people are uninsured or uninsured. But the true fact is that it would be very hard for you to find anyone in this community who wasn't somehow affected by one of the disasters that we faced. Some people repeatedly. And while we all know that we've been very public about the fact that we are still waiting for funding from our national government to come in, that hasn't stopped our local community. And I think Reverend said it right, we're extremely resilient. So we have been moving forward with many partners from throughout this country who've come in, and on any given day, you will find up to 20 organizations who are here working on homes of people they have never met before. In fact, some of those groups are here today. And we're just moving forward. We may be moving a little slower than we'd like because we don't have that federal funding, but we are moving. And we do know that we're going to continue to fight until every home is repaired and safe and secure for those families. And I know that so many of you are the interest is housing, and what you may not be aware of is that in Southwest Louisiana, United Way, we have the 211 system, which is an information and referral system where people can call in with their needs across the region. And typically, we answer in Southwest Louisiana about 12,000 calls a year. Our system took in 51,000 hurricane calls. And our number one need always, gray skies, blue skies, is always housing. It's always number one, and behind it is utility, and number three is food. And a lot of people think that that typically food is the number one need. But we can document, we have the data to prove that the number one need in Southwest Louisiana, 12 days, every day of the year, is housing. So thank you guys so very much for being here. We're just really happy to be a part of our recovery. And you know what? We're going to do it again. We're going to be stronger and better. And we've got great partners, especially with our city and our parish. We're so thankful to be engaged with them at this level. And we really do think that, I like to say that COVID really prepped our community, and it was like our training for what was to come and all of the things that we've gone through over the last several months. So thank you guys. We're just happy to be here, and we know that you'll love Southwest Louisiana as much as we do. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, and in the aftermath of what we have gone through, one nonprofit specifically has really stepped up to put together quite an advocacy mission for Southwest Louisiana. And Denise made some comments about a lack of supplemental disaster aid from the federal government, and I promised myself that I wouldn't get too deep into that today because we've been talking about it so much. But it is true that we are fighting for that. And Southwest Louisiana Community Foundation has been one of the major local agencies to help advocate for that need. And an advocacy group was set up, funded by many private entities to help on that behalf. So you see, again, it's not only government, it's nonprofits and even the private sector realizing the need is there, and we do have some strides to make. And so now it's my honor to call upon Sarah Judson, the President and CEO of the Community Foundation of Southwest Louisiana. Sarah, good morning. Thanks for joining.
Okay, we're going to try a few slides with my friend Nicole right here. Awesome. So again, to follow up, you can tell that we have a lot of synergy going on here in Lake Charles and across Southwest Louisiana, and really that spirit of public-private partnerships is alive and well here. And we are so fortunate that, again, private individuals, David Philo, who's from the Moss Bluff area, and his wife Angela, they wanted to support our future of Southwest Louisiana, and they chose to make a significant contribution of $2.5 million through the Community Foundation, but to give us the opportunity to create a comprehensive resilience master plan focused on Calcasieu and Cameron as the two parishes here with the most devastation from the storms, but also with takeaways that will be important for the rest of Southwest Louisiana. So we are thrilled that we have begun the process. We did a listening tour with over 100 people that actively participated and more people that were able to complete surveys and give input that way. Many people in the room today from the area were a part of that process. And so that information has brought together the actual request for proposal, and it is now out, and we are getting input. And so I want to show you a little bit about what is going to be in that RFP. You can see there the scope, and as no surprise, number one, housing. And I think what's really interesting with this process is with this over 100 people giving input from Calcasieu and Cameron, it could have been those of us only sitting right here at this table, and what we would have come up with really were the same things that came out from everybody. And so we were able to create a very robust RFP with all of these different topics in the scope. And you hear, like what you heard from Matt and from Brian about the things that are important in our long-term recovery. these have many connections as to what will also be touched on in the scope here in the plan. And what I hope those of you, whether you're from the area or from outside and you're interested in investing here, I hope that you can see that there's the opportunity for some real consistency. And you saw that infrastructure, which again includes broadband and all that good stuff as part of the scope. That the consistency that this will bring and the ability for us to stay on top of it, to create a plan, to work across public and private entities so that we can make really generational changes that improve Southwest Louisiana and give us the opportunities to excel in many different areas. And our RFP went out at the end of May. And you'll see on the screen now that can be found at our foundation website. So if that's something that you're thinking, I might be interested and didn't realize that, or maybe you know somebody that you want to share that with, please do. Those submissions are due by July 2nd. We have a team ready to do a thorough review and selection. And then we look forward to being able to make that decision around the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Laura. And we really look forward to working continuously with our city and our parishes and other stakeholders in all of those areas so that all together we really create the future that we want Southwest Louisiana to be. So thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Sarah. And now I'll close with no slides. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you've seen a taste of what Southwest Louisiana really is and what Lake Charles is. By far, our greatest asset, is the people here in Southwest Louisiana. Before we talk about economy, before we talk about anything else, the people here in Southwest Louisiana, I'm biased, I was born and raised here, but I don't care who the mayor is and I don't care what's going on with the weather, the people here in Southwest Louisiana are our greatest assets. The culture is truly unique and special to us. But let's talk about economy for a moment. Others have said it, but I'm just going to recap that the inherent backbone of our economy here in Southwest Louisiana is very strong. And COVID and even 4 natural disasters over 9 months cannot change that. I don't want to get too deep into a political conversation, but with what is happening right now with the energy sector, the petrochemical investments that are on the ground here in Southwest Louisiana, the LNG export terminals that are on the ground and others that are already permitted here in Southwest Louisiana are absolute gold. You can't just pick those multi-billion-dollar investments up and move them elsewhere tomorrow or next week. One of the longest runways in Southwest Louisiana is at Chennault International Airport, one of the longest runways between Houston and the panhandle of Florida. We have one of the busiest ports in the nation, and we are sitting at a gaming resort. And if you include the entirety of Calcasieu Parish, we have billions, with a B, dollars of investments in true gaming resorts. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not things you can just pick up and move tomorrow. These things are going to be here for the long haul, and they're going to help to support our economic recovery. We touched on economic diversity, and I so appreciate Brian's comments about homegrown business and entrepreneurship. And economic diversity is very important to us. There were moments in Lake Charles's history where we were so connected to the price of one commodity that we suffered this constant boom and bust scenario. We're better today. We have a much more diversified economy today than we had 30 years ago. I'm going to speak a little bit more from a personal level and what the city of Lake Charles would love to see with quality investments coming into the city. Obviously, the number one thing we want, I'm going to use that word again, is quality. We want quality investments into the city of Lake Charles. And now I'm going to get even more personal and let everyone know that speaking from the mayor's office, we are very concerned about the core of this city. Geographically, we want to see this city strong from the central part, from the core of this city, inside out. And so if there were ever an occasion for someone to come and visit with me or my administration, about proposals or a request for incentives, obviously we will sit down and speak with anyone. But we would be especially appreciative and especially excited if anyone came to us with projects that were in more developed areas of our city and areas that we want to see thrive again. We realize the need here in Southwest Louisiana. I think everyone at this table realizes that we are in the thick of recovery. We have a long road ahead of us. I personally watch a lot of YouTube when I go home, and I've been watching a lot of Winston Churchill speeches lately to try and give me a little inspiration, and those have helped. But for those of you who have received emails from me in the past, I'll close with one of my favorite quotes, and it's by Teddy Roosevelt. And he says, far better is it to dare mighty things, rather than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much, because they live in a gray twilight that knows not victory nor defeat. We've had our share of great twilights here in Southwest Louisiana over recent months, but I do believe that we are well on our way to victory. And so thank you for being here today, and enjoy the breakout sessions.